This week, I'm going to let you in on my best secret for local businesses when it comes to running Google Ads. Most of the advice that you see online isn't actually meant for your business. So, today we're going to go through the most important things for local businesses to keep in mind. I'm going to give you my 5 rules for local search, and they go against a lot of the advice you'll see online and most of what Google's automated recommendations tell you to do. I'm Jack Kep, and I've spent more than 10 years working with local businesses to get the most out of Google Ads. And today on Jack of All Ads, let's get into the most important things that your local business needs to do when running Google Ads. Rule number 1 is to match your budget and your geography. Most of the advice you're going to see on Google Ads for budgets is going to start with something like, it depends, but here's a range. And to be honest, I agree with that. That's probably the first thing that I'll tell you too. However, you're also going to see a lot of advice online that says you shouldn't run ads if you don't have 10, 20, $30,000 or more a month for success. That advice doesn't really apply to local businesses. Instead, you need to match the budget to the area you're targeting. So if you're targeting an area that only has 50,000 people in it, you certainly don't need to spend $50,000 a month to reach them. Instead, you need to match the search volume to your budget. The other piece to keep in mind when it comes to search budgets is that if your budget's small, your location targeting should be small. You don't want to have a $500 a month budget and go try to target the entire state. You're not going to get deep enough into the search terms to actually make an impact and find customers who are ready to work with your business. So here's the budget tips that I tell local businesses to keep in mind. First, there's no minimum on Google Ads, but small budgets are really hard. I'd recommend a minimum of $1,500 a month. And to be honest, you're probably better off if you're spending something closer to like $5,000 a month. Unless your location is really small, I run search campaigns for a business in a town of 5,000 people. We're not spending more than $1,000 a month because there's just not the search volume for there. However, for most local businesses, you're probably going to want to try to be closer to $5,000 a month in order to build the volume and capture enough of the search share that you're actually reaching the people who are going to work with your business. The next piece of advice is to try to get at least 10 clicks per day. Depending on your business, CPCs can easily be $10 to $20 or more. In order to get 10 clicks per day, that's going to be $3,000 to $6,000 a month in ad spend. So figure out what your average CPC is going to be, and then how much it would cost for you to get 10 clicks per day. Next, if you're starting small, pick your best service and begin there. We'll go into this more in a later tip, but you don't want to try to stretch your budget too thin if you don't have very much money to spend. My final budget advice is it honestly might be best to wait. If you're trying to dip your toe in the water and just spend a few $100s, it's probably just going to mean wasted ad spend with no results. A few $100s isn't going to show you whether or not a campaign can be successful or not. It's probably going to fail, and you're going to decide that Google Ads doesn't work when that may not actually be the case. So wait until your business can spend enough to actually capture the amount of search impression that you need to find results. All right, rule number 2 for local businesses is keep your location targeting tight. You should only be targeting the areas that you're actually interested in doing business in. I see campaigns all the time that are targeting entire cities, but they maybe only service specific zip codes within those cities. Or they're targeting a radius that goes 50 miles out from a city, but they only go 10 to 15 miles outside of it. If your targeting is not tight to the area that you actually serve, you're just wasting budget. People are going to click on your ads, they're going to come and request your service, and you're going to have to tell them that you don't go there. Now you just paid for a click and you got a lead that isn't actually going to turn into a customer for your business. The other piece of advice with location targeting is always use Google's presence targeting. Don't use presence and interest. And now I know Google recommends presence and interest targeting and says that that's the best for your business. It's not going to be. All it's going to do is let you reach people who are interested in your location, not people who actually live there. That's great for Google. It means more clicks. It's not great for your business. Those people aren't going to become customers. Always use presence targeting and keep your location targeting really tight. Rule number 3 is to start with exact match keywords. This one's going to go against Google Ads advice. It's probably going to go against advice that you'll see from people online as well. Broad match could be a great keyword type for big businesses, but for your local business, it's probably just going to mean wasted ad spend. Broad match needs a lot of data to work, and that's exactly what your new campaign or your small campaign doesn't have. Instead, you want to keep your keywords very tight. That means using exact match keywords. It's going to keep your bank account much happier. It's going to stay focused on the keywords that actually work for your business, not broadening out to try to find customers that may have some sort of intent. You don't have the budget to make broad match work for your business. And so I always recommend that you stay with exact match. You focus on the keywords that are working best for you. And only once those are working really well and you're seeing success, then do you try to expand. Maybe you test phrase match, maybe you test broad match, but you need to make sure the exact match keywords are working for your business first. Rule number 4, Use location and call assets for your business. Location assets will show your store address, a get directions button, a map to your closest location, how far the distance is, what your store hours are, a clickable call button, whether or not you're open. It makes your ads much more informative to people searching for you, and it takes up a bigger portion of the search results so you catch people's eyes. As well, location assets help you get inside of the Google Maps. Google Maps is a huge opportunity for local businesses, and you want to use location assets to make sure your business is eligible to show inside of those results. People browse through those businesses to find who they want to contact. You need to be there. The other asset that is absolutely critical for most local businesses is call assets. People still pick up the phone and want to just call a local business to get help with whatever they need. If your business doesn't make it easy for them to call you, you're probably going to miss out on opportunities that would otherwise be there. So if you answer your phone, if you have the ability to take phone calls, you should be using call assets for your business. Rule number 5, keep your campaigns consolidated. You don't need a campaign for every single service type that you offer. I know you want to get business for all of those, but your budget is likely limited. Your data is probably small. You need to keep things consolidated to make it as successful as possible. So start with what your business does best. Pick your best service area or your best products. Focus on the things that you're really good at, the things that make you stand out, and start advertising there first. Once you grow and dominate that, then you can build on it. You can start adding additional services. You can add new services. You can add other opportunities to reach people. But you want Google to have a lot of data on who your customer is and how to reach them. Once you've done that, then it's easier to expand. The other piece with consolidated campaigns is you should be aggressively pruning things that aren't working. If a keyword isn't performing, pause it. Even if it was your favorite keyword idea, even if you think that it should absolutely be working and there's no reason it makes sense that it's not. If people aren't clicking on it, if it's not driving conversions, you need to pause it. You don't want to be wasting budget on keywords that you hope are going to work sometime in the future. Google tells you what's working. When you see it, whether it works or not, focus on what does and pause the things that don't. Local businesses are just built different. And so the advice that you see online for big businesses or e-commerce businesses, it doesn't make sense for your local business. Everything you do as a local business is different. And the same is true with Google Ads. So if you need Google Ads advice, I hope you'll come back and keep watching my videos. I'm going to keep providing more and more advice on how to build the best Google Ads for your business. But be sure you're looking for advice online that actually matches your business and make sure it makes sense to help you grow your business. All right. So what's your biggest local Google Ads question? Leave it in the comments, shoot me a message, reach out. I'm always happy to answer it, and we can cover it on a show in the future as well. I'm Jack Hepp, and thanks for tuning in to Jack of All Ads. We'll see you next week.